Summoning the spirits from the nether regions of the world weird web. Hi everyone, it's Tom. I am revealing myself as a truth keeper by coming live today, as I had teased elsewhere online. However, I am also revealing myself as a big fat liar because I said that today would be the day when I would talk about the Carmilla-scents. And I was fully prepared to do that up until the last minute. But it turns out we have these New York Comic Con event exclusives that we're going to be selling at New York Comic Con and online that whole weekend. And that announcement of what those products are needs to happen today. Like right now, like the one of you watching currently, you will know before anyone else. And then later, future people, you will know in the future. So that means I'm combining this video and doing a little sniff of the Freak in the Sheets perfume line because that's just 4 cents. So I can do a little announcement unveiling, and then I can also smell some perfumes. And that way different people get what they want. So people who are here for the Freak in the Sheets perfume smelling, watching from now or the future, I'd like to introduce you to the people on either side of you who are here purely for the New York Comic Con announcement. New York Comic Con announcement people, you may find that in your midst you're surrounded by some Freak in the Sheets people. Some of you are both people, in which case I would love to, at this moment, introduce you to yourself. So let's get into it. New York Comic Con, I'll be there in person, what's left of me after this very busy fall season, post Dragon Con, whatever little bits of gristle that Dragon Con didn't cleanse from my bones will be on display at New York Comic Con, which I believe begins next Thursday through Sunday. And per our post-pandemic or from pandemic onward procedure, we are going to be posting these online on the website, the New York Comic Con scents. You can buy them online during the days when people are shopping for them in person. That's a very small window. That's barely enough time for anyone, me for example, to come online and tell you what any of that nonsense even smells like. It's a bit of a high pressure situation. But it's also better than people panicking about not being able to ever have them. And it also has definitely, while some people are still showing up at the booth buying group orders for different people or sending friends to pick up for them, it lessens the burden on some of our community members to orchestrate massive group orders. And then on us at the booth to fulfill massive group orders, which, you know, if you've ever, it's like a retail situation where we're there just putting bags and bags with like 30, 40, 150 perfume bottles in them and like making sure everything is right because later if somebody doesn't get their perfume, they'll be really sad. So this is our solution this weekend sale. And if I sound a little vague, it's because I wanted to try to live stream today between morning coffee and late morning coffee instead of freshly after late morning coffee like I did last time, because I don't even know who that person was. In retrospect, I was left like gasping for air. I felt like I was in a like out of control Mr. Toad's Wild Ride car powered by my own speech. So I'm taking a lesson from Drew Barrymore because I've been listening to her audiobook Flower, and her narration for it is so her. And it's funny because she just has this lovely, slow, methodical, yet sincere lisping delivery. And I thought I should be capable of the same. So I will not affect a Drew Barrymore voice for the reading of this announcement. But if Galen was here, that would be his job. But I am going to currently, right now, read everything in our Google Doc about the perfume oils and one hair gloss that will be especially uniquely available for 1 weekend only at Comic-Con and in our web store. If it sounds redundant that I keep saying it, it's because there is inevitably confusion. Where can I get it? Do I have to go in person? How long is it online for? I recognize that as a social media person, there is no way to reach everyone individually and tell them what the deal is. You could ping me personally, I guess, as many do, and I will tell you in the plainest speech I can muster at that time exactly what the nonsense is. So without further ado, there's always further ado after I say that. So first of all, the mainstay of the New York perfume release is going to be the cider press. In the past, we've done apples for New York City because it's the Big Apple, and we were doing peaches for New York, or for Dragon Con because that's in Georgia. So we have historically done apples, but we've already, you know, done a lot of apples, and so we've switched it up to do a cider themed fragrance series for this event. But before I get into cider press, there are 2 standalone New York Comic Con weekend scents that are specific to New York that we hope everyone will try to enjoy. Just like wrap your head around the possibility of these being enjoyable. So, the first one is Pizza Rat. Yes, folks, we're doing a Pizza Rat fragrance. Pizza Rat themselves will not share profits with us because rats don't live very long, and the original Pizza Rat is almost certainly very, very dead. But the description says, 2025 will mark 10 years of notoriety for this epitome of rodent excellence, whose motivations remain relatable to this day. This perfume oil is our contribution to Pizza Rat's decennial anniversary, a squeaky black tomato musk. So, some of you may not remember this, but Pizza Rat is a viral animal video star, and it was a subway rat hauling an entire slice of pizza up the stairs. So we made a Pizza Rat fragrance, a squeaky black tomato musk. So that's happening. You've got to, even if you can't go, send your friends to the booth to smell it, please. We want to gauge Pizza Rat perfume oil reactions. So the second one that's New York specific but not cider press is, I need a drum roll. Galen's not here. Why don't I have I have it, it would be so obnoxious. The second one is black and white cookie. Does everyone know what a black and white cookie is? It's the big, large, puffy cookie with the half white, half black, like fondant coating on the top. And the description says, whatever your preferred term for this eye-catching bodega snack, its iconic design undeniably lingers in the backdrop of core New York memories. A simple, jumbo-sized treat, it unifies by transcending differences to mostly taste all like one thing. And there is no further scent description written here because I figure it is redundant and you are either in or you're out. Black and white cookie. So we've reached the point of the live video stream, 9 minutes, where I feel warmed up, and this is like the place that I would normally want to be starting from as a human, speaking to other people live on the internet. So I'm glad that I'm already doing something by now. But if you're just tuning in, welcome. And we are doing the New York Comic Con scent announcement for everything that will be available that weekend online, in our store, and in person at New York Comic Con. So let's move on. We're doing the cider press. Cider press fragrances. These are all perfume oils. I should have mentioned before that, as with Dragon Con, all the perfume oils are $32, 5 milliliters. And cider press is, and if you're missing out on stuff and you're panicking live because I'm saying things and they're not evident anywhere, I will add the contents of this document to the caption of this video within 10 minutes of finishing recording. So You don't have to like, you know, write on your arm with pen or whatever and report back to everyone. This live stream is part of a controlled burst of information that will contain everything in text safely for people who just want to read it and would prefer not to look at my face or hear my voice. So the cider press. Dun-dun-dun. We're going to start with a little serving of Applejack cider. Applejack cider, a 1-2 punch from Mother Malus pumila. That's the scientific name for that apple tree. A steaming dipperful of expertly spiced cider that's been slapped with a generous splash of aged apple brandy. Remember, if it's boiled, it's spoiled. Okay? Performing these like little Maya Angelou poems, except for I'm not going to do her voice either. Somewhere, imagine me somewhere on the spectrum between Drew Barrymore and Maya Angelou. That's where I live, spiritually. Okay, the next one, apple cider donuts. The secret to this treat is the apple cider reduction infused in the dough. What you dunk it in is up to you. Perfumer disclaimer, please do not dunk your nether bits or any other sensitive body parts into this oil. And I guess it goes without saying that all of these are not edible products and they are only perfume oils for smelling, and you should do the things that you do with them with a fragrance product, but like don't lick it or stick it. Got it? Okay. So, and no further description for apple cider donuts because again, it's the smell is apple cider donuts. Now the next one is mulled cider oud. Take a break from pondering that orb and mull over this mug. There's pause for laughter. Sweet oud infused with fermented apple, allspice, cinnamon sticks, ginger root, clove, orange slices, and bourbon. Mulled cider oud. Wonderful. Now we're going to move on to, it's like I keep pausing for a reaction, like, oh, yes, what do you think? And what do you think of that one? Sounds good, right? Okay. Hot buttered apple cider. And I will preface this by saying that this uses the vegan butter note that the lab does. So, but as I was telling Beth earlier, hot margarined apple cider just doesn't have the same artistic flair. Hot buttered apple cider, vegan. Sometimes we find it purely impossible to function without the kind of hot drink that leaves an oil slick in the cup. Here's a crisp apple cider scent for those who can relate, complete with melted buttery swirl. Excellent. And again, this oil is vegan. And now the final perfume oil in the cider press is caramel apple ginger ale float. These 5 words, in this order, are like a spell that unlocks life-changing autumnal possibilities. So put this fragrance on your dessert mood board. I almost said put this fragrance on your dessert. I'm gonna make a note in the doc. Fizzy vanilla ice cream spilling over the rim of a towering froth-capped glass of ginger ale drizzled with caramel. Caramel apple ginger ale float. I've never had one, but I'm going to now. Come on up, bud. It's like when I said that the 5 words are like a magic spell, what they did manage to do is summon the dog from the other room. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are 5 cider presses, perfume oils, plus 2 non-cider press Pizza Rat and Black and White Cookie. And then there is a hair gloss. The cider press hair gloss, $36, just the same as at DragonCon. Apple cider marshmallows. Just let that reverberate for a moment. Apple cider marshmallows. Marshmallows. Okay, the description is, that's right, we added squished apples to marshmallows in pursuit of maximum squishiness. Give us the Nobel Prize already. You can squish the resulting concoction directly into your hairs. Pillowy marshmallow fluff infused with a cidery sparkle. And that's it. I'm going to give a second for that information to sink in. And so the 9 of you currently watching, if you have any questions, comments, disastrous contributions, we'll let those ride in for a moment while I mentally reset in order to, I closed the laptop aspirationally, even though I will 100% need it to read the ghosty descriptions. But anyway, I'm gonna have a drink of water. Disco, come here. Disco, move. Come on. Come on up. That's right, he's doing a big stretch and a tap. Come on, come here, come here. Oh, my angel. Just having a little dog therapy moment while I prepare myself to smell 4, count them, 4 Freak in the Sheets sheet ghost themed fragrances that we launched for Halloween this year. 4. That's a thoroughly attainable number. I've been live for under 16 minutes and I have 4 scents left to film. This could be my shortest live ever, unless I did a wild tangent at the very end and told like personal ghost stories or something. Or if I somehow lost consciousness and this continued to just record live while I was just like, for as long as my phone battery would hold out. So, oh, big yawn. Oh, that's a happy dog. Very happy. Oh, oh, oh. Oh. For someone asking in the comments, Hannah or Hannah, I can't tell from the way that it is spelled, wants to know what breed Disco is. Disco is a Pomeranian. He's like a full jumbo-sized Pomeranian, because this is what they used to look like before they got shrunk down into toy size. And every now and then, through the magic of recessive genetics, in an ordinary litter of tiny pom babies, a big dopey one like this will come out, and the breeders don't exactly always know what to do with them other than just sell them the way they are to the people who want them this way. We got him as a rescue, but he had like papers. So that's the Disco story. Some of you remember Disco from past videos and you know that story already, but he's smiling and licking my face, so I don't think that you should feel too cheated in terms of repeat content. Oh, big yawn. Wonderful. Okay, well, Disco, it's time for me to get to work, baby. Oh, okay, well, why don't you come sit over here? He says, Disco says no. Disco wants the lap. He doesn't sit on the lap very often at home, so this is kind of rare. And I'm inclined to just let it ride. But I can talk about Freak in the Sheets for a moment before we get into the bottles, and just say that in 2022, I believe, we did our first iteration of Freak in the Sheets, which is inspired by the classic Sheet Ghost Halloween costume, or even, I don't even know if we can call it a costume so much as it is like a cover-up. It's a very simple way to be spooky with almost no preparation. So we did, was it 4 or 5 scents then? This time it's only 4, and we did the traditional Sheet Ghost then, which we have brought back for this year. Traditional Sheet Ghost perfume oil. And then variations featuring different sheets. And I was lucky to be able to photograph various folks as our models, so that these have like fun photos. Each one this time has 2 variant labels, which you just get randomly, because we got so many fun photos that we couldn't limit it to just 1 for the products. So we got to photograph Mabel again. She was the floral Sheet Ghost last time around. Our friend Eric from the Nobodies in New York City was here. He got to be the Motel Sheet Ghost. We photographed a wonderful model named Eliza for the Lavender Sheet Ghost. And then, of course, my sweet Galen was able to step in and rise to the occasion of being our tropical print Sheet Ghost. So these are challenging shoots because it was the summertime, and having a sheet over your head makes visibility quite difficult, and you can't, it's hard to take direction when you can't see what you're doing. And also the eyes on the Sheet Ghost costume have to be in the right spot, because of course we're not cutting these sheets so that we can use them later. It would be wasteful to just ruin the sheet. And then on the Lavender Sheet Ghost, my concept for the ghost was that it just doesn't even have the eyes, because it's kind of more beautiful and mysterious without, but also because I knew that that lavender silk sheet would be slippery as hell. And there was no way we were gonna be able to film outside and have the eyes like stay anywhere. So Lavender mystery. It's all just mystery, no eyes. So, Disco, you are stealing the show. No one's listening to a goddamn word I'm saying right now. I'm not supposed to work with animals or children because they pull focus and they're unpredictable. But, oh, kiddo. Okay. Well, this is officially a distraction. Will you move? If you say move, he knows. And he'll just do it. Okay, great. I think his ears are still right there, so you know. So, even though a lot of you already have this, I'm gonna go ahead and dip into smelling the traditional sheet ghost because, what's it like and such. These scents do have a fabric component that is a little different for each one. So there is like a true to life like fabric component. There is also a kind of an interesting spooky component to each one that is appropriate to the theme. And then beyond there, it's like, I'm not really sure. I didn't formulate these. But the traditional sheet ghost, it says, whoa, boo. Disco's like, what'd you say to me? Cool white cotton, marshmallow fluff, and lemony Oman frankincense. Okay? He's about to dig into his lamb chop toy, which he ignores almost all the time, but it's got a squeaker in it, so if you hear a strange wailing, it's not some kind of spectral visitation. It's purely a licensed children's programming toy being murdered in the background of my living room. Traditional sheet ghost is a very, very comforting scent. It really is. Disco, get back. He's like going to prowl the trash can while I'm busy. Come here. Hey, you're supposed to be an asset to the production. You're holding everyone up. Do you know what that costs the production? Come here. Come on. Up. No. Lay down. You can, oh yeah, take this blanket and rough it up. Yeah, it's okay. That's the magic of live theater. Yeah, settle down. He's interested in the skulls. And who wouldn't be? Okay, all right. I'm so sorry. So it is really fluffy and light, and it's not like a really sticky, sweet, sugary gourmand marshmallow scent to my nose. It's really just cool and pale and sweet, and it really does have that lovely linen freshness. And then I think in this instance that it is the frankincense which contributes to the sort of spectral nature of this. Frankincense as an incense associated with various spiritual and occult practices. So there is something there that lifts it out of the range of like a truly, truly cozy, fresh gourmand, and it then becomes like the Maitlands in the designer sheets. So I'm imagining some of you definitely have this since we already sold it before and have been enjoying it. This is like a lovely kind of stealth Halloween fragrance, which I would wear definitely to get me in the mood of something or other. But nobody smelling this is going to be like, oh, you smell like oozing viscera or whatever. It just has a lovely, there is like a bit of a chill to it for sure. It kind of cools into this lovely frankincense. I like the lemony frankincense that comes up in so many of our blends. There's so many ways to have it, but I love the lemony frankincense. And I will say that it really truly is just like a little zing of zest in there. Again, it's just like bright and soft and delicate, but spectral. The freshness stays like just this side, I think, of like a true laundry scent, which those can go soapy or mineralic, I think, a lot of the time, whether someone means it to or not. I have to kind of like poke around for the marshmallow in this because it's delicate. It just also is so magically blended together that in my brain, this is just all one scent. This is just like a unified, platonic, ideal sheet ghost cutout scent. So I guess it makes sense to, Disco, you can't do this to me, to transition from that one into the MOTEL sheet ghost. This is a new one, the MOTEL sheet ghost, because this builds upon the traditional sheet ghost fragrance more than the other two. It says, chills and thrills, but certainly no frills. A polluted, rough riding version of the traditional sheet ghost. Cool white cotton, marshmallow fluff, lemony Oman frankincense marred with suspicious blotches of coconut oil and a cigarette burn. So to my mind, this kind of like fills the void in terms of last time's cognac stained sheet ghost. This time the MOTEL sheet ghost is like a different pollutant, shall we say. You may have seen from our post about this earlier in the month, or I guess it would have been a few weeks ago now, that Beth had said that she thought it was extremely reminiscent of O, but with more of like a cigarette note. It's like the cigarette after the O. In the bottle, it's funny, there's like a definitely like a faint burn. Disco, I'm not playing with you right now. Hello? Hello makes him think that someone's here. Hello? Hello? What if I knock on something? Hello? 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 Come on in. He didn't hear the door open, so he knows him. We are like truly in an era of like mutual gaslighting, Disco and I, at this point, because he's starting to figure out all of the stuff that I did training wise. But I guarantee even if he doesn't come out right now, he's in there like listening very carefully to see, is it real? Is it real? So maybe that moment of distraction will have at least helped like reset him. So yes, truly comparable, but I have to say the coconut oil imparts a little extra dimension of sweetness to my nose. It's like one more gourmand note, I guess, that helps tilt it that much further over into kind of like something like there's like a macaroon quality to an extent. Not like overblown, but kind of resting on top of that cool, the cool linen base. Cotton. And then the cigarette note, in case people were worried about it, is actually pretty subtle. So I'm not scared. Out of the four, the MOTEL ghost is probably the most frightening in concept, just because if you're in a motel, you are in like the ultimate liminal space. This is like running down my arm. I'm having a bit of a rough go this morning. This is so heavenly. That, I would say the burn on the cigarette burn is a little stronger in the bottle even than I've found it to be on the skin. It's just so smooth. And the original one was already so cool and smooth and pale. And this one, because of the extra oily, the coconut oil note, is just that much smoother and does in fact smell less clean. For me, I guess I'm a scuzzier person who would rather have the MOTEL sheet, I guess, than the normal traditional sheet ghost sheet. I like a sheet that's got some miles on it, I guess. There's an Airbnb that Ashton and I have stayed at in Minneapolis that is the Prince suite that is a tribute to Prince, as so many things in Minneapolis are. And it's a very it's kind of a shabby tribute to Prince. Like there's a big velvety purple ottoman in the center of the tiny living room that has like a prominent cigarette burn on it. Yes, friend? Are you getting restless? Lay down. You heard me. Oh, he did it. Good boy. I'm in the zone. I'm locked in. It's funny, now 14 people are watching this live, and one Pomeranian is sitting across the room going, he's just bored and waiting for me to get out of here with him. Disco, we only have 2 fragrances left. Yeah, so the novelty factor of the Motel Sheet Ghost is not to be overlooked in terms of like if you enjoy the traditional one, then here is a really wonderful variant that kind of takes it into got a little more flavor added. Now I'm gonna head over into the Lavender Silk Sheet Ghost, which I know a lot of people were excited about, and I credit it to the texture of the sheet, which is exquisite and photographs beautifully, and the wonderful game spirit of Eliza, our model, who worked with us on that because she really made the sheet look good. I didn't read it yet. Lavender Silk Sheet Ghost. So I'm like, I know what's in it. You can Google it. A sleek, seductive, eternal slumber. Silky ripples of spectral lavender cascading around the labdanum-shadowed absence of a living being. It sounds like a spooky story in itself. What happened to her / them / I don't know. Anyone can have lavender sheets. I was curious about this in terms of what direction Beth would go, because it seems like there's just lots. Like in the bottle, it's really obviously lavender forward, but like immediately the unsettling quality that I immediately detect, I am going to attribute to oud. It's got a kind of an interesting, like savage, untrustworthy element to it that I guess in my brain I thought this would be like an extremely calming scent because of the lavender and like the, you know, rest in peace aspect, but this is actually a satisfyingly restless spirit. And then also underneath that, a really dazzling array of incense components, which I would have a hard time picking out personally, although labdanum is mentioned. And so because I read it, my brain is convinced I can smell it. That's how it works, right? Disco, get back. It's not time yet. Lay down. Good boy. So let's get some on the skin. I don't have a lavender tattoo that I can put this on. Maybe I need to work on that. Okay. Now you know why we do live streams during his crate time. Wow. This reminds me of maybe something from the An Evening with the Spirits, our Victorian mediumship series, because it really has a very deep, dark quality. It takes something ethereal and peaceful, and then it kind of all goes down inward into like a dark, spooky place. I wouldn't say that it is like really cool in tone, because I guess it's these incense elements, like some of it actually has a bit of a warmth to it. Or I guess I would say there's like an interesting mixture of like warm and cool tones. There's a part of it that like, again, which I think is the oud, which like really announces itself and steps forward and is like, pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. And then a lot of these are more like elusive. And so there's kind of like an interesting incense swirl going on, an exchange. It's like a really high maintenance spook who has a message that they must say, but like troublingly provides like very few details. Like it has Crimson Peak vibes, we'll say, for sure. Like beware Crimson Peak. What does that mean? I don't know yet. I haven't gotten to that part in my own movie yet. Don't you wish you could watch like a movie trailer of your own life story? So like, you know, you wouldn't be able to see everything that was going to happen, but there would be like story beats and you'd be like, oh yeah, I guess watch out. Or like, oh, that actor shows up and apparently plays some kind of prominent role. Trailers are misleading enough as it is. I feel like that wouldn't give like too many spoilers. Anyway, this is great. It has a kind of an interesting edge. It has a bit of a smolder. I'm impressed. Disco, get back. We got one more. Come here. I think he has to go out, unfortunately. Disco, come here. I promise to keep it quick if you come up here. Come on. On the couch. Come on. Up. Up. Very good boy. He's back. So, Tropical Print Sheet Ghost feels like it had to happen. It just feels like it had to happen. Also, we've gone through so many different prints. Like, we've covered a lot of basics. There's more we could have gone through, but I feel like Tropical Print really in the spirit of, like, why not? Let's throw in something a little wacky and just see what happens. And what happens is Galen standing in a pile of itchy weeds next to, like, an old shed in an alley behind the local thrift store. And also standing in front of the tropical print curtains in our own bedroom, which was, you would think, a much more comfortable arrangement, except for the fact that the airflow involved, or lack thereof for him, and the fact that this was photographed in early August made it extremely uncomfortable. And I knew that I basically had less than 4 minutes with him in order to get what I needed before the frustration peaked to a point where I just, knowing Galen, we would enter into like a point of no return mood-wise that could affect the harmony of our household for the rest of the day. So, in the interest of not maxing out Galen, we kept it pretty simple. The pictures look absolutely great. He's very sweet. And the scent says, does the carcass match the drapes? Cascades of banana leaf, bamboo fiber, mango, papaya, and hibiscus streaked with ectoplasm and sticky tears of strelitzia sap. The strelitzia is the actual name for the bird of paradise flower. Before I smell this, I will also say that the sheet that we managed to get for this was so aesthetically pleasing that it is now adorning a wall in our bedroom and looks absolutely enchanting. So, because we knew, you know, whatever we buy to use, we're basically stuck with. Wow. I was so curious about how this would smell. I could not track it. I knew there would be a banana element. There really is. My brain goes to banana first, of course, but it really is an interesting, like, green banana smell. Like, you know, when you open like an underripe banana, as you have driven to by necessity, probably, unless you're just out there eating them, get help. But there is really something like it has that I'm not ready yet smell. You can smell, well, in that instance, you try to eat it and you can taste the greenness of it, which I think is an interesting, when you taste a green banana, part of what you're tasting that you're not enjoying, again, non-freaks, is the plant. It's like the plant elements that, like, it's like the banana is still connected in a sense to the plant which made it, and it has not ripened fully yet into this kind of other thing. So that is here. It is, it's a lovely kind of like cool, light green. There's a humidity in the scent, which is interesting. I am tracking the fabric element, like the bamboo sheet element. So there is something that's like bed chambery about it. As for the fruit, like the mango and the papaya, these are not like strongly announcing themselves in the bottle, but I am getting a kind of a hint of tropical, you know, like somebody playing Ima Sumac like very far in the background somewhere. And then I don't really know in terms of ectoplasm and strelitzia sap. Like, I wouldn't even know where to begin in this. So I guess the only way out is through the bottle. We're gonna put some on. Disco, you're being so good. Everyone watching, all 14 people, are so grateful for your contributions to this video, especially if you limit them at this point to the current threshold so that we can just, we're almost there. We're almost there. Fascinating. So the last really wonderful tropical perfume that I smelled and loved a lot was Fancy Pups, which had the papaya and mango also. And this is just such a whole different beast. Galen described that one as Vegas-y. I would say that this is much more Palm Springs. This is like, it is really giving me a greenhouse vibe, like a tropical greenhouse at the botanical gardens. And yes, there is more of like a fruity and like fabric-y element to it than you would encounter at most greenhouse environments. But there's just something about the way that the humidity of it fills up the space, or the association with these notes like takes your brain to that kind of space. It definitely has, I want to say, like a bit of a lemony quality also that may actually be ported over from the something in the traditional sheet ghost. Maybe there's like a frankincense here also. And this, out of the 4 that I've smelled, I feel like is the most mysterious in terms of how it's going to smell like 20 minutes from now. I really couldn't tell you. Like, heading back through them, Motel Ghost has like a lovely, it smells like dirty sheets in like the best possible way, with like that like just like a faint haze of smoke. You know, it really gives a sense of being in a particular room. It's really nice. Mentally, because I'm broken, I flash back to the motel room that Christina Ricci and Charlize Theron share in the movie Monster, uh, which I have seen 700 times. That's the vibe. What fun. Revisiting Lavender Sheet Ghost, you've really kind of got like this like truly maybe like an infernal incense. It's really, it has like a lovely pale purple, yet I'm unsettling quality. Traditional sheet ghost hanging out, doing its thing, doing its sheet ghosty little Charlie Brown dance. Nothing surprising there. Meanwhile, over here in Tropical Print Sheet Ghost, I really just don't know where I am. It really has a scent like like I'm getting a kind of like the greenness, like a produce aisle greenness, which I guess is a great way of also explaining the multiple like fruit scents. They do smell like fresh fruits, but like not ones that you have like bitten into or anything. It's like if you were smelling a mango before buying it, if you were smelling a papaya. I can't imagine that you would be smelling the bananas. I've never seen anyone do that. But that's really what I get. There's like almost that kind of like cool, dusty, like peel quality to it, along with like the leaf and stuff. So it's just a whole different vibe. I would love to stay in a hotel room that smelled like this. It has a cleanliness to it that is very reassuring after Lavender and Motel, both of which feel very lived in. And this scent feels, maybe I guess it's the greenness of it, but it really feels like I'm the first person who's been here. And they cleaned the room really well. So, yeah. Speaking of a haunted Airbnb experience, when Ashton and I were in Minneapolis this weekend, and we stayed in a basement Airbnb in an old building, and I made him watch Barbarian, which I thought would be funny because of the theme of where we were watching it in a basement. And ultimately, I mean, he seemed to have fun, but like was scared witless. And then he had bought this clown doll at the antique market, and so we had that with us. And it's funny because in the middle of one of the nights, we were awakened by a crash, and it was dark, and I was looking around, and I didn't have my glasses on, and I couldn't figure out what had fallen. I assumed it was my purse or something had fallen over. And he was just like, he woke up briefly just to say, oh, it was just the clown doll. And I was like, oh, okay, good. That makes sense. Because it had been sitting up on a high windowsill out of the way. And it was only as I was falling asleep that I thought it was so funny that our newly acquired antique market clown doll toppled, hurled itself off the shelf in the middle of the night. And I just wasn't even in our basement Airbnb, and I wasn't even the least bit worried about it. I was just happy there was an explanation, because a sound like that with no explanation would have really bothered me. But the explanation being a really old, weird, rubber-headed clown doll taking an unprompted swan dive off a shelf, not a problem. And in fact, the doll has a bandage on its head where I guess it has had a tumble before and someone had like patched it. It's got a weird little almost medical bandage on the hat, underneath the hat. So he's a fall risk. And I didn't have these perfumes available to me at the time before I left, so I didn't have the ghost with me, or I would have probably done a live stream from the spooky Airbnb. Yeah. So yeah, like a really, I'm hanging out with I stick by my previous description in terms of like fruit peels and cool fibers, and I'm going to suggest that maybe it has the same frankincense as the traditional sheet ghost, but I have no evidence. But you know, parapsychology is not an evidence-based field, so we just report our experiences, and that becomes its own form of folk wisdom. So now it's been 47 minutes. I've read the entire New York Comic Con announcement. I've smelled 4 sheet ghosts. Disco gave up and has flopped on the floor. So whatever was going on before couldn't have been that much of an emergency. But he knows that soon we're going to be going to the local dog coffee shop where he will get to yell at other dogs and squirrels. And sometimes just yelling just because, which is my favorite kind of yelling also. We have so much in common. So expect more information about New York Comic Con as it presents itself. And thank you so much for blessing us with your patience. And I hope that some of you already have your Sheet Ghost perfumes and are resting peacefully with them, enjoying the hell out of them. And if there's anything else I can do for you, oh yeah, maybe I could attempt some Carmilla scent sniffing tomorrow, because that is still a weekday. So we'll just see what kind of spirit I can get into myself. And in the interest of that sounding like a good time and not a horrible trap that you'll be in for forever with me, I'm just gonna cut it off here and wish you all a very, very pleasant Thursday. And we'll be seeing you.